What's up, everybody? We're back here at the high school athlete. I'm here with Coach Dewaine Lee from Strawn. Coach, glad you're able to join us here. I know we've been back and forth. Mainly it's my fault, but I do appreciate you taking time out of your day to join the show.
Oh, such an honor. I hear a lot of good things. I've watched a few of your podcasts, and it's an honor to you guys calling me and having me on your show.
Absolutely, we appreciate it. I know it probably gets. You're probably one of those guys that kind of brushes off your shoulder, but you're one of those coaches in the 6-man community that people really, really respect. I mean, you've been in it a long time, right? How many years have you been coaching now?
This is my 28th.
Wow.
And I've been the head coach at 27 on 28.
At Strawn, 27 years.
No, I've actually been at Strawn 18 years.
Okay, it's a long time.
My first job was in Grand Falls. I was there for 6 years in Grand Falls. I was an assistant. We were 11-man, and we dropped to 6-man during 2 days because of numbers.
Okay.
And I never even seen a 6-man game.
Oh,
and
wow.
The coach, he left that year, and they offered me the head job, and it's my second year coaching, and I'm like, yeah, I'll take that head job. And
yeah,
I had no business taking that job. I mean, I always tell the story. If I was a minister, I would have fired myself. How bad I was. And I was there for 6 years, and then I went to Silverton for 4, and I've been here for 18.
Wow. So it was like trial by fire. I mean,
you know what? You say that, but it really was because we didn't have YouTube. We didn't have the sources.
Sure.
You had to travel to meet people, and you couldn't just the phone. There was no cell phones at the time.
Yeah.
So really, it wasn't like you can just pick the phone up and text someone, hey, or send me a picture or send me a video. I mean, it was no huddle, no YouTube, no. So it was. I mean, it was exactly trial by fire.
It's like you record this on the game on VHS and then meet the coach halfway somewhere, right?
Yeah.
One of those things.
I miss those days because you take the person, your personal. Then I always enjoyed meeting the coach and talking to him.
Yeah, creating those relationships and networking.
Yeah.
I guess would work. Yeah. Now you're doing it through voice and probably everything. I guess now you put everything on huddle, huh? I mean, coaches.
Everything's huddle. It drives me crazy when a coach from another school, like not just private school, but they're playing somebody and they just send me a message, and I wish they'd call and say, hey, coach, this is so-and-so. Could you send me that video?
Yeah.
But now, like, hey, we're playing so-and-so. Can you send me the video? Like, I don't even know who this guy is. I mean, like,
it's through the it's all digital,
Yeah, I send it, but I'm thinking, for me, I would just like to talk to somebody just to see how that,
Yeah, fill them out.
But you don't get that now. You don't.
I agree.
So.
And I mean, kids love it nowadays. They can make their own dang highlight films and everything like within 30, 40 seconds. It seems like so.
Huddle is awesome. It really is.
That's what everybody says. I've had the opportunity to join a lot of coaches' huddles through just to look at their film and practices and stuff. And it's been really neat. So I can do it from anywhere.
Sure.
So before we get into more of Strawn and some success there, as well as talking some about the documentary that's came out called Texas 6, and it's been renewed for a second season, and everybody knows that. That's public knowledge, of course, and there's been a lot of good things said about that. Well, let's back up a bit. Let's talk about Coach Lee. Let's talk about Coach Lee in high school growing up. Where did you grow up? What was your mentality like? Were you a big football guy? You played college ball, right? Is that true? Okay.
Yeah, I actually grew up in Crane. It's a 3A school. It's in West Texas. It's 30 miles from Odessa. We grew up poor. We lived in, across from a park, and that's where pretty much all of I got 3 brothers, older brothers, and 1 sister. So, but all my friends lived on the block, and that's where it kind of developed me. The competition, being competitive, was from that neighborhood. But I played everything in junior high. Then I was actually in the band in junior high. Then I got older. Crane's a big baseball school. When you grow up at 5 years old till you get to Pony League, and then you get to high school. So I kind of gave up baseball just because I got into football more. And then when I got to high school, of course I love track, and I kind of got away from basketball. I played my freshman year. Then I really like track a lot. I like the shot put and discus, and I really got into that. And basically then we had we had some really good football players in Crane. We had I'm not talking about just I was pretty average. I mean, they really had a guy. Kenny Walker was the same age as me. He went to University of Nebraska. He was All-American. He played in the NFL a few years, and he was deaf. He was and Gerald Mitchell went to he was a junior when I was a senior. He got a full ride to Texas A&M running back. He was a third highly recruited running back in the state of Texas.
Oh, wow.
Those guys, I mean, we had some great athletes through the years in Crane. And I was very fortunate, and I was very lucky to go to Eastern New Mexico in Portales. It's a Division II, the Lone Star Conference, Angelo, East Texas, Texas A&M at the time. I got to see John Randall. I got to play against those guys. And
wow.
Thank goodness I never got to lock up with that guy. Those guys were animals. And, Pierce Holt was a guy from Angelo that I was younger. I got to watch him play. And we had some guys from our team play. Michael Sinclair played 11 or 12 years with the Seattle Seahawks. Mm-hmm. He was on my team, same age as me. So I was very fortunate to be around a good program. And I think college is what really taught me, a lot of, high school was one part of it.
Sure.
And it was great base, great coaches, but college was kind of set me apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what position did you play in high school and in college?
Offensive line.
Really?
High school, yeah. I played offensive line and D line in high school. And then I actually was a really small lineman in college, but I got redshirted my first year. I made the travel team my second year. And then my third team, I got to start.
Wow. Wow. So you're a big old boy. I mean, you're a big guy, not saying, lineman wise, but your shoulders are broad. You're a big dude.
Well, I was a small starting offensive lineman, most definitely. I only weighed about 250 in college, my playing weight. Most of the guys are 275 to 300.
Yeah.
I'm 6'3", and they're 6'7", 6'5", but I enjoyed it. It was really, that's what, I was never a good student. I didn't really care about high school. I mean, school. I just wanted to, compete. And that's what really got me through a degree and got me where I'm at now, just because of athletics.
Wow. Well, so you graduate from there. And then is that when you take your first job at Grand Falls? Is that after graduation?
Well, actually, when I graduated, me and my best friend at the time is Randy Brown. He's the superintendent now at Alvord, and we moved to Florida.
Oh, wow.
And our whole life, we, 7th grade, 8th grade, high school and college. I mean, everything's been on a time schedule. I mean, football, 2-a-days, you got to be here, and it's such a grind and a job. And I loved it. It was the best thing for me.
Yeah.
That's what really got me going, because when I did that, we graduated. We said, we want to go do something different. And we went to Florida. We just decided Florida. We're going to move to Florida. And my mom was like, oh, it was horrible for her. She did not like it. She was mad at me. And so we moved. And
it's too far away.
Yeah. We looked in the newspaper, and I had a degree, but I had a few education classes. He was already certified. And we got jobs selling used cars for about 5 to 6 months.
Oh, wow.
We had a lot of fun.
Were you good at it?
No, I wasn't good at it. But and then I went from there. It was just basically we wanted to get out and do something, because I mean, literally everything was on a time schedule from day one in college. I mean, breakfast, lunch. I mean, study hall, practice. And I came back to Texas and took a few classes, and I got a job in Grand Falls Royalty.
That's where it started.
Yeah.
And how does Strawn come involved?
I was at Silverton for 4 years, and the job in Strawn was open for a month, and I knew it was open, and I didn't really, apply for the job. It wasn't something I was looking for, but Coach Crabb called me, and a long story short, he called me about someone else, about a reference, and then he started asking me questions. I said, no, I'm not interested. I know, so he said, well, just come down and talk to us. Well, my wife, I just got married, and she's like, let's go look at it. Well, we adopted a kid. We had a kid we adopted. And then when we came down, we liked the area. I've never been in this area. I've always been in West Texas, and never been around trees or anything. So we came down and we liked it. And we know that the district they were in at the time was brutal. It was with Bryson, Gordon, Woodson, Newcastle. And I mean, it was, and I know a lot of people turned this job down, Mitch Lee and Kevin Ray. So that's how I liked it. I liked the superintendent, and I thought it was something that, that would fit us. My wife liked it, and that was 18 years ago.
Wow.
2003.
Just stuck there, huh? Do you think some of this, I mean, when did you notice, and maybe it's not, maybe you just enjoy competition. I don't know. When did you ever fall in love with the 6-man football aspect versus 11-man? When was there like the disconnect there? You're like, oh, I do
No,
really love six man.
the competition had nothing to do with it. Blocking and tackling, the strategy, of course, strategy is different. X and O's a little bit different, but being physical, being blocking and tackling, and being the little things, detail. You got to be attention to detail.
Mm-hmm.
It was the same. It was the same, and I don't think it was any. I just fell in love with it. I just basically, the kids were kids, and I wouldn't coach any different if I was at a 6A school. I would coach exactly the same way I coach in Strawn, America.
Yeah. And I think that when I talk to a lot of people in 6-man and 11-man, I think there is a difference in time. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, and I've attended both schools at the same time, but like, instead of having, I don't know, 60, 70 athletes, you have sometimes 13, 12, sometimes 7, 8. I don't know, you depend. And so you as a coach, it's like you almost step into more, you're a coach, absolutely. But a lot of times you end up being a father figure. You end up being a lot of different, different things for these guys, and just the coach that gets to go home and, see his family. You're dealing with a lot of stuff.
Well, that's funny you say that, because it's exactly because you get on a more personal level. It's like a classroom size. If you got 20 or you got 40 kids in class, or you got 10, and you get to know the kids a lot better and get to really be a part of their life more. But, I always thought just being around and being wanted and, being needed was a big thing for me. And I think, in small towns, don't get me wrong, it's not always that way. I mean, believe it or not, there's people that, that they don't like me for whatever reason. And I don't worry about that stuff, but, we try to coach kids, but the main thing is, you're right. It's more personable. I enjoy the small school, but who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see if you could be on both sides of the fence to kind of see what that would do to you. I know, absolutely, you would coach the same. There's no doubt about that. Your personality is who you are.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you want to be invested in everybody. It's a little bit easier to be invested in a smaller group. Kind of.
It is. And one thing about it too, and it's easy when, everybody thinks, we just have abundance of talent. You don't stay at a school year in, year out and there's going to be down years.
Absolutely.
And down, it's just maybe two or three kids here, and I think it's like a poker game. The hand you're dealt with, you got to work that hand, and that's what I've always loved. And I've been 4-6 here, and that was one of my favorite seasons I've ever coached, because the process, they did such a great job, and we thought we were going to win every game, and we went 4-6.
Yeah, that's embracing the challenge, right? Because there's another side of it, Coach, and that's coaches who chase talent, and we both know we've both seen that. I've seen it everywhere. And if they want to win, and that's the main focus, I think you're kind of getting away from the main objective. So,
well, and I tell these coaches and people I talk to, if they ask me, I'll tell them, but like in your contract, it doesn't say teach the smartest kid. It's easy teaching the smartest kid, because it's easy to get the information across to him. It's easy to coach the best kids. In my contract, it doesn't say coach the studs.
Yeah.
And that's what I like. I think it's important for every kid to be held accountable, every kid to know that they're a part of something. And I promise you, some of the worst ass chewings I've ever given was the best kid to the kid that maybe will never play, just because hold them accountable.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we damn sure don't treat kids who are better athletes or score more touchdowns better than kids who don't. That's one thing. If anybody ever says that happens with me, they're lying, because
full of it.
We go straight after. I go straight after the kid. You're going to be held high accountable. The best players need to be the best people on the team.
Yeah.
When they're the best people on the team and they're the best leaders, and then we're going to have a great season. When the best player is a turd and he thinks he can do whatever, you're going to have it's going to be a long season for me. Yeah. It's not enjoyable. It's not enjoyable. Their parents think they're the best, and they should be. I don't enjoy that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have to tolerate that, but pretty much, that's not good for anybody.
No.
It's not good for school. It's not good for your community, or coach is not fun. So we try to nip that early,
Yeah, and I think, and from my personal experience with this, and you're hitting it right on the head, you're setting these kids up by teaching them and holding them accountable at all the same level for them to be
Yes.
successful adults, I think, and
Yeah.
you know, great husbands and every coach wants to preach that. I want them to
Yeah.
be great adults and great husbands, and that's great, and that's easy to be
It's
said.
right.
But are you really setting them up for that? You know,
Yes.
here's my experience, and I'm very open with it, and I don't care. People can judge all they want. It's like we were treated so well. I'm like, you know, in high school, to where whenever we got out of high school, it was a shell shock. In terms of we weren't treated as the greatest anymore in life. We were back to equals upon all other people, and it created a harder journey for us, I think. And luckily, a lot of us in my class and some of the athletes I was with have come out of that to be more successful and be great husbands. But that took another, I think, an extra 10 years. It didn't have to happen because of some of that pampering, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And you know, and it's easy because we want success and we don't want to make anybody mad. But right now, you know good as I do, people don't really care about your show.
Nope.
You got a handful of people love it and they watch it, whatever. But some people don't know, and that's part of life. They don't. You really step out there. When you step out in the real world, people don't really give a flying fajita what you do. Not just you, anybody.
That's true. That's true.
And you know, and that's the thing is, what impression you're making. Your show's been good for 6 Man. You've been promoting it. You know, we want to be good people. I used to when I was younger, and I have a ton of stories I could tell you if we had all day, and just some things that I regret. You know, always wanting people to fail. I always thought, you know, that I hate that team. I hate this. I didn't want them to win. I didn't like that coach for this reason. And I try to motivate kids. And then, you know, when kids say, Coach, well, you don't like anybody, you know, and I started thinking, well, I can't motivate like that because I hate that coach. You know, he did this and did that.
Right.
The next, you know, we play somebody else and I hate that coach did this and that. Like, Coach, do you like anybody?
Yeah.
And it was trying to motivate, trying to get them fired up. Well, that's not the way to. And once I quit worrying about what the Joneses are doing, and started worrying about what I'm doing, and you know, somebody asked me, "Are you glad that Springs got beat this year?" I said, I was rooting for Vance because he's my friend.
Sure.
But I'm not against Richmond Springs. I wasn't like, yeah, I'm glad they got beat. You know, I quit doing that. That's not something, you know, I think when you act that way and you just take away from yourself and you take away, you know, you focus positive vibes away from what you should be doing. You know, I mean, you know, I'm not sitting here saying it, you know, if Vance wasn't my friend, whatever, who I picked, you know, but I just think when you think negative all the time and you think about, you know, what other people are doing. And like you said, and when you get out of school, basically you want to be a good person. You want to try to do what's right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you got to worry about your family. You got to worry about your family.
Yep. It changes. It's not about, you know, it's so funny how high school and stuff can be so zeroed and narrowed in, and it's just so far from what the truth is.
Oh,
you know?
It's not even the same. I agree. You know, my family right now is this school, and, you know, in this town, and I try to do the best I can, and I'm not by no means perfect.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. And it's like, and like we're kind of talking about in terms of, you know, within wins and losses, and yeah, man, it does feel great to win. Don't get me wrong. But I think what people understand is like, that is such a temporary feeling, you know, like the trophies will end. I mean, in terms of life, as you progress, not everybody's going to be a coach and be able to have that, you know, those opportunities.
That's right.
But the trophy chasing days will end. And then it becomes about, well, what are you chasing now? Is it, you know, what's that happiness look like? What's that internal feeling? Is it a family, man, having children and being, you know, that's what terms of important. And I think, and kids aren't dumb. They graduate high school and they start to realize, and they come towards self-actualization and understanding things. It's like, well, dang, I wish things were a little bit, you know, different. Or whatnot. So.
Sure. I've never, a win's never taught me anything. Never been taught nothing by a win. Losing taught me more than ever, you know, just because it just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so many things. And, you know, when people don't realize winning's easy. And I say that it's easy. People say, oh, it's easy for him to say that, but it is easy. Yeah. Winning's easy. Losing is the hard part.
It is.
That's the lesson in life. When you get knocked down, that's the hard part.
Yeah.
And I use it, you know, when we got beat by Richmond Springs this year, and I'm sure it's going to be on, I don't know if it's going to be on season 2, but I go things that I heard, and that a teacher tells me something, I always keep, and you there's coaches that have been around me, coaches with me, I always keep it, like, I'll pull that out, good or bad. Like if I hear some kid acting bad in class, I might not say nothing till like after the game or during a timeout or something like, hey, you can't act right in class. How can you get that block?
Yeah.
This stupid stuff. Well, after we got beat by Richland Springs, we're in the locker room, and there's a kid. He's our filmer, and he's a great kid. He's awesome. Well, he scored one of the highest. He had one of the highest scores on one of the tests he takes for college level,
like ACT, SAT thing.
Yeah, it was I can't remember what it's called, the RT. Gosh,
who knows nowadays?
But he scored really, really high on it. Well, he failed a class for the 6 weeks. So when I swung around and I'm talking to the locker room, there he is, and I said, here's an example. This guy had, and I bragged on him, but I said, how does he fail for the 6 weeks? He's the smartest. We've had some really smart kids in Strawn, really smart, and he scored higher than the smartest kids.
Yeah.
I said, and you know what I'm hoping it does. He realizes, like, hey, I better get my crap going. I better get going. I can do something with this.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to do. And I do call people out in front of people.
Yeah.
I still, people are scared to do that. I call them out. I'm like, how does he not have straight A's? And he said, well, he don't work very hard, coach, whatever. He jacks around in class or whatever, you know.
Sure.
And it's the truth. Well, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to work.
Well, I think, go ahead. Sorry.
That's it.
I think that, you know, this accountability thing we're knocking on, the fact that you can present these kids with this, what it does, I'm a big guy on purpose. I think that if a human being fails to connect with their purpose, they feel lost and they feel disconnected. And connectivity is a huge thing in life. But I think if you the earlier you can hold kids accountable and teach them about their potential, right, and really believe in them. You know, there's always people you look back on like, that coach really believed in me and he gave me something I didn't have. I think the quicker you can do that, the easier, you know, the more successful they can be earlier. And I think that's something that you kind of got going on there in the Strawn area, and holding the film guy accountable, and you know, because he could take one or two routes there, right? He could continue to be lazy and be nothing, or tap into that potential.
But my job in my contract doesn't say teach kids in athletes only. I'm teaching every day. I try to talk to every kid, good or bad. You know, hey, I heard you've been acting up in class. Knock that off. You know, let's do a better job. And I know how to skin a cat different than I did 10, 20 years ago. Sure. Really helped me too. When they talk about experience, it's really, I look back and say, man, I didn't handle that situation very good when I was in Grand Falls. I had a young man one time, and then I kind of probably said some things and called him out. And I didn't do a very good job doing that. And, you know, those things you learn from. Sure.
Yeah, and that's what you're talking about. It's not the wins there either, right? It's
no.
Yeah.
You know, they asked me, you know, Lehman Saunders had you know, I didn't like, they called me yesterday and asked me what my record was for some stuff. I said, I don't know. I don't know. I don't care, you know. And I know people think, oh, yeah, you do. Now I had to add it up and what years I came and do whatever, but it's not important to me. That stuff is not important. You know, I'm happy when people get 100 wins. I'm happy when people get 200. It's exciting. It's a hard. I understand the battle they went through to get there, but for me, that's not important to me.
Yeah.
I don't want to. That, you know, I want a lot of other things to define me and who I am, and you know, people have a different perspective of you or me or whoever until you walk in my shoes, until you come in here and see what I do every day.
Yeah.
It's easy to see the product on the field or the TV show or here I'm on your podcast and, you know, here I'm, but do you really know what we do day in and day out?
Sure. Yeah. What you deal with. I agree. And speaking of, I'll switch gears a little bit for you. Speaking of 10 to 20 years ago, can you talk about a little bit about how the game of six man has changed? And so I remember, I'll just give you an example. It was in the 90s, watching Ty coach at Newcastle. I don't know who, they were playing somebody who was good back in the day. It was cold. And the game used to be so run-oriented, head-knocking. You know, you could blindside people, ear-hole people. It's changed. I've seen, even from me being in high school, and that's been a while now, like it's moved towards this like wide open spread since. And I'm not saying every coach has to adopt that, but the game has changed, right? And can you talk a little about what you've seen in the last 20, 30, 20, 25 years?
Well, the proof, if you want to know how it's changed, one way, if people don't believe that, I know blocking and tackling, I know all that's the same to a point, but go look at the scores 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and look how high the scores are, the offensive level. And I think a lot of that's changed because the tailback option, that has, I wish I'd have known that aspect when I was in Grand Falls with the kids I had. I didn't know that. And I didn't invent that. Somebody, I don't know who came up, it's probably been doing it forever, but not to the point they're doing it now.
Right.
Run pass option. And I think that was the biggest thing for offense, and I know people are always saying shrink the field just a little bit more. It will cut some of these scores down. But yes, it's changed. Just I think better coaching. And I'm not saying there was bad coaching then, but now with the materials they have and the fingertips, they can get on the computer with Huddle. You can watch so much more video. It's so much clearer. I think coaches are better because of what the resources they have than they didn't have 20 years ago. Because I know I'm better.
Yeah.
If I had these resources when I was 25 years old, I would have been a better coach at that time at 25 than I was then, just because of the resources.
Yeah.
I think that's changed the game big time also.
I agree. I've seen some, and I tend to watch. Here's the thing with me, and I'm not trying to knock six man at all here, but I'll be honest. There's only every year there's about 10 teams maybe that I find interesting to watch, and same thing with 11 man too. But it's just like, what do you think this thing is with? There's 100. I don't even know how many teams in six man now. 100 something. It's grown, right? What do you think it is that pulls it down to where there's only really 10 to 12 teams that stay competitive? Is that a talent thing? Is that just a small school thing where you don't really know what you're going to have? Or do you think that plays into 11 men as well? What are your thoughts?
Well, how come the same programs are always successful pretty much?
Yeah, right.
And the reason why, and one thing, and I learned this the hard way, and I've had, when I first moved here, I had Coach Pashosky. Coach P's the head coach now at BV. And Coach Dawson, he now owns a Chick-fil-A in Bryan, Texas. So those guys were with me 12 years and 10 years. And we don't pay a lot, but and you look at Trey Ritchie, he's got Bubba in him. You look at those coaches that, Burkhardt has Rogers. I remember when Rogers left, Burkhardt struggled.
Yes, he did.
And nothing against Burkhardt. I'll tell you my story. When I hired Coach Cervantes, I told him the other day, we've been, since he's been here, 11-1, 15-0, state champion, 2 state champions. We've been in the semifinals twice. And then I got Coach Eli with us. He's been here with me 5, and Coach Cervantes, this is his 6th. Consistency, having some, and when you have good assistant coaches, I shouldn't even say assistant, because they're unbelievable. I think those places who have really good coaches with them and not afraid to let them coach. Burkhardt lets him coach. Trey Ritchie and Bubba are, a tandem.
Yes,
unbelievable.
They are. Yeah.
And you look, not just those, and it's easy. There's some great coaches and great talent. I think Coach Linneman did a heck of a job at McLean. He did awesome. And, those kids, because I've seen a lot of talented teams not win state many, many years. But why is the same program as year in, year out? Why are they, Ty Keith goes to Sterling City. He makes them better. Because he's got experience, and they already had a good staff and good kids. He just elevated that.
Yeah.
I think that's the big thing too. I think, people's got to realize it's not just, Coach Lee. I'm surrounding myself with people that, if you're not making me better, I don't want you around me.
Yeah.
Kids, I don't want anybody around me. If you don't make me better, I don't want you around me. You ain't gonna ever hurt my feelings. I want people who makes me better.
Sure. Yeah. That's a great philosophy. I think you hit it on the head too. The assistant coaching is important. And I do ask quite a bit, even on this show, what's that mean to you to have a good assistant beside you? Because I've seen places that don't have the coach don't know anything about what's going on, and it makes a difference.
Yeah. And you know what? You have to teach, Coach Cervantes came from Rising Star, and he had to learn our system and learn how we do things, but he was willing to do that. And that's what really made me like him so much. Coach P was the same way out of college. They were willing to adapt and learn, but bring some things of their own.
Sure.
And not afraid to go. And see, this last year, and I'm not making no excuses. I'm telling you from what happened here. I was gone a lot this last season because my dad had cancer. And every weekend, all but like 2 weekends. Soon as the game's over, I leave that night to go to Crane, or I leave that Saturday morning. I stay all weekend, take care of my dad.
Yeah.
Because I might stay with him. And then I missed 2 weeks of two-a-days, and I missed another week here and there. And those two guys had to step up, but they knew the system. They knew what we expected, you know. And I never blinked an eye.
Yeah.
And you know, and you know what's so crazy? I'll tell you what's crazy. They would travel to Crane, where we can break down video sometimes.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And or they'd come and see me, because you know my dad passed away over Christmas,
right.
and they would come and see me. And I'm not gonna get emotional. I mean, it makes me
sure. No, I completely understand.
Those guys just they took their time to come and see me.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not because of football. That's the relationship you got to have.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's what I think. That's the biggest difference. A lot of people don't realize that. That's what makes us tick. You know. And
I agree, and I think that goes. And I know you don't like to take credit, but I think that goes a lot and says a lot about you as a man too. For those guys to follow you that way, I mean, it's like you don't just want to lead. You don't want to follow someone into blindness. You know, like there's you have a great reputation, and like I mean, and to learn from you, that'll make these guys successful going forward too.
But I didn't. You know, used to I thought I knew everything, and I had to coach everything. I had to be the man. I wanted my name out there.
Sure.
You know, in Grand Falls, and then once I started understanding, when I started really being successful, it's not about me. People's going to know who you are. You don't have to tell people, and they know how you treat people. And like I said, and like I said, how can I keep Coach P for 12 years? And he had, Coach Cervantes he's already had many offers to go to be a head coach and get a lot more money. But he's basically I tell him, I said, you have more responsibility here than a lot of head coaches. I promise you.
Sure.
I let him do a lot of stuff that, where he gets him ready for that, and Coach Eli's already been a head coach. He's glad, he's happy doing what he's doing. I've been very fortunate, and I wouldn't trade those guys for, I promise you. If they try to fire one of those guys and get rid of them, I mean, they'd have to get rid of all of them.
Yeah, they take us all. Yeah, that's good stuff. Before we touch on a little bit about Texas 6 real quick, I know I don't want to take too much of your time, Coach, but before we do that, I wanted to ask you, as a coach, what do you think, what makes you most proud of a student athlete? Do you still talk to some of your players that you've known forever?
All the time. The ones that are doing really well and the ones that are not doing as well.
Sure.
Definitely. I always send a message, and I try to send it. And I was thinking about that the other day. It's about time for me to send another one. Some guys who I know maybe you're not doing as well. And, we were young, we partied and acted crazy and stupid, whatever.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Get our button reset. But I always try to make sure they know. I talk to them on the phone, like, when you were in high school, did you come up every morning? Did you do extra things? Did you work hard? Did you condition? Did you go through a really hard? I mean, I think we put them through really hard workouts, and I think we push them pretty hard, and we expect a lot out of them. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, yes, sir. I said, did you come up? Were you ever really late? No, sir. I said, well, that fire's in your belly somewhere. Is that little man's in there? Yeah. How come I don't see him now? How come he's not doing it now? Why are you not doing well now? You capable. You've already done it. You can get up in the morning. You can work. You're not scared to run. I mean, we run. I mean, it's in you. Mm-hmm. I like to tell them that, to make sure they understand that, because they're not doing nothing. It's still in them. They can still do something. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, because you still got that fire in you. I mean, you just got to go back and light that thing up. Ignite that thing.
Yep. And I agree. I think for some people who I've talked to, it's the change in structure and the fact that people aren't really relying on you at that time anymore. You don't have a teammate to let down,
mm-hmm.
At that time.
You think about what you're exactly 100% right. And it's the same thing. When you're in high school, what do you hear talking about? College, trade school, going on to the Army, doing things. And there's that structure. Everybody has the same goals. Everybody has the same. And then all of a sudden, boom, you graduate.
Yep.
You're not a real.
Yep. And things change.
You're right.
And then you got to refocus, and then
you got to reach in there and find that little fire you got. You got to get that thing burning.
I agree.
Stoke it up.
I agree. Awesome. So let's talk about Texas 6 real quick. Obviously, there's a lot of people who know about it. A lot of people are connecting to it. I just want you to kind of talk me in that process, how that's been having a camera in your face, not only for 2 years, but like, has that changed anything in your coaching or have you kind of had them adapt to around you? What has it been like having this? And what do you think the positives out of having someone fall around a 6-man team, not only in practice, but even outside in life are?
You know, when they came, when Jared Christopher came to me, he's a guy who did Alito. I knew about him. He did Tattletown. And he sit down with me, and I was like, nah, I'm not really interested in doing this. It's not something I'm going to do. And so he said, hey, let's talk about it. So we had like a 3-hour meeting. And this is in my mind, it happened. This has been like 4 years ago, 3 years ago. So he talked me into it because, you know, I know Friday Night Lights because I'm from Crane, Odessa. I know that guy came in there and Odessa wasn't happy with Friday Night Lights. You know, The Last Chance U, I didn't want no part of that. Yeah. You know, I do coach a little different. I mean, I am a different person. I'm pretty private, but not, you know, I don't, and I didn't really, and I said, I don't even see a story here, Jared. I don't even know why you're here. I don't even see a story. He said, so he just picked somebody close in this area that's successful because he lives in Burleson. Well, as it goes, I guess he did his research. He really wanted to do it. And we didn't get paid. We didn't get any money from CBS. Right now, I haven't heard it. If they give us some money, it'd be great. Somebody said, well, Coach, the rumor is at Gordon, they're paying you. I said, well, wish they would be paying me. Yeah. I'd be paying my truck off. But seriously, and that's how it kind of come about. And then the camera, the first week was a little different for me. But once I'm really comfortable coaching hard, I'm not afraid what people say. I'm not afraid of what, you know, I go to Tired at the Meet or, you know, I'm loud at times and when I need to be or whatever. And next thing you know, I mean, I pretty much forgot about the camera. Like I really did forget about it. He made the transition really, really easy.
Yeah. Yeah, and he was, like I told you earlier before, I talked to him, and he was great to talk to. Just a great somebody just to pick their brain and believed in something in like this documentary and went full force into it. Now it's got, like we said, 2 seasons earlier. So you can pretty much, you got to catch this documentary on, it's got to be on CBS All Access. I think it's $10 a month to join it. You get a free trial if you want. Yeah,
you can go to Amazon too.
Okay.
Amazon Prime and go,
Perfect.
And, it's been you know, if you're going to open the doors, and we had some incidents with you know, this year we had some marijuana incident, you know, I mean, nobody wants to see their kid on there, but there was not one thing that he ever told me to go, Coach, can you say that again? Coach, can you walk through that door again? Coach, can you throw those water bottles again? There's nothing, not one time ever scripted. Not one time he's ever asked me to say, Coach, can you do this again? He's done that one time, ever. And there's a lot of times he said, damn it, we missed something because he might not have the camera on somebody and like, damn, I wish I'd have had it on there.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. So it's authentic, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is great. That's good stuff. Well, I mean, and for you guys listening out there, go catch it. It's pretty neat. I mean, especially if you want to be close to small towns and what goes on in small towns. And I'm sure there's an avenue of this that works out in bigger cities as well. But smaller towns, there's just something about them. Every little thing affects everybody else in some way or another. I mean, you can have one of your best players, not even a starter, that does something or maybe fails, and they're out for so long, and it really can affect your team. It's not like you can just plug somebody right in next all the time. You don't have that luxury all the time in 6-man football. So,
exactly.
But
and you know, and every school, no matter, and people can look down on, that they have drinking problems. They win. Look what they do over there. Every school has kids that drink.
Absolutely.
Every program. I don't care if it's, you know, I heard the story about the Eastland this year. You know, have you, you know, I don't know if you know Coach Morton at Eastland.
I've heard, but
yeah, he is a super guy. And I mean, he's tough. Mm-hmm. He used to be at Midland. He coached at Midland Lee forever. He graduated from Eastland. Well, his kid just he's already at Texas Tech quarterback, you know. He graduated and well, he was gone one weekend during the season this year, and guess what his son did? Had a party at his house, and I mean, the starting quarterback. I mean, it doesn't matter what. He's a kid.
Sure.
It's easy, you know, and it's easy to throw him under the bus, and people, oh, you should do this to him, or you should have done that. I promise you, we punish them. I mean, missing the game is easy. Missing the game is easy compared to what we do to them.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's good stuff. I mean, it's good to see and hear all that. And like you're saying, it's just different in small towns because there's a bigger, something happens, the spotlight is just that much bigger versus, a lot of bigger things, you can hide a lot of stuff, and that's not, that doesn't teach nobody anything either.
No,
So,
but you can't hide nothing in little towns.
No, everybody knows everything, right? They do.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you joining us. Again, I know you got stuff to do, but thanks for hollering at us and letting us dive into your life a little bit and your story. That's
Sure.
amazing. I hope that people can gather just as much out of this that I have today. It's been a pleasure sitting down with you.
I when I listened to your show and I made a note. I told you I made a note before the show.
Yeah.
The note I made. The note I made. Miss Cormac, I'm on a Zoom meeting, Miss Cormac. I'll be right back. You had probably cut that out, but
that's right.
One of the things that you always hear you ask coaches, who was your big influence or who helped you,
Yeah.
So don't leave anybody out, and I don't want to, I want to put that because there is people that Mitch Lee has been the number one guy that he is absolutely the smartest, unbelievable 6-man coach that anybody can talk to, and I'll put him up against any coach in 6-man. And maybe he don't have all the championships, but I promise you, he knows more. I sit down with him one time about the T formation, and he don't even run the T. And he gave me plays that I never even thought about. Like, he don't even run the T. I said, Coach, why don't you run the T? He said, oh, I just run the Jaybird.
Yeah.
He's been a huge one.
Great.
Coach Spencer from Newcastle has been a rock for me forever. I mean, he's a diamond in the rough. A lot of people don't know about him just because maybe he hasn't won state championships, but he was there his whole career. He was so good to me. He taught me so much, and I learned so much from him and watching his teams that he didn't even realize I'm stealing from him. I'm doing. And then when I talked to him, he sat down and talked to me about the 2-3, about tackling drills and how he handles situations. He's a superintendent now. He was, but those guys, and Vance Jones has always been super good to me. And then, Mike Bigham was once, he's still, I talked to him, and he's really been really beneficial for my career.
Wow.
But, and I've been saying, because I know you always ask coaches that, who's been, and I didn't want to leave that out because it's important to me.
It is important. I agree.
It's important for I come from it. And,
it takes a village, I mean, you can't do it on your own. And it's like the fact that you can share with those guys and help each other out. I mean, that's what it's all about, at the end of it. And so
it is.
And those relationships you form. I mean, you just can't beat them, it's genuine.
But I think a lot of people don't realize, out of mind, out of sight, and Coach Lee and Coach Spitzer, I promise you those guys, they're solid coaches. Unbelievable. I mean, people don't realize how good coaches they are. They don't realize that, Coach Spitzer stayed in his place that many years and I mean, his whole career. And I mean, when you played him, you're getting a game.
Oh yes, you were. Yeah.
And I'll tell you some of the state championships that we have under our belt that we've been fortunate to win. I probably wouldn't have a couple of those without Mitch Lee because he showed me some stuff and taught me some stuff and gave me some things that really catapulted us to win those games.
Awesome. That's good. That's good stuff, Coach.
Yeah.
Well, great. I appreciate it. Like I said, I hope you have a great rest of your day, Coach, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes,
I'd
sir.
love to have you on here again sometime and catch up with you sometime. So
Hey, thanks for having me.
Take care. Absolutely. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.